Man,
What is up, guys? It is Grant with another episode of the Groovy Files, and I got my main man Donovan with me.
yo,
And today we're going to be talking about finally sampling future MFDOOM and our favorite concept albums. So the first thing about I've been seeing like a lot on Twitter and everything like that, the whole debate with sampling and like everybody getting tired of people are sampling lazy now and everything like that. And I feel like a lot of it is just, although I do think the some sampling is lazy, I think a lot of it is rooted in the fact that people are old enough to recognize the sample, that just talking about like the mainstream artists, they're old enough to recognize the sample and everything like that. So like, for instance, when somebody samples something that we grew up on and somebody decides to rap over and everything like that, they're kind of like, oh, the sample is lazy and everything like that. And a part of it, I kind of feel like the reaction wouldn't be as knee-jerk if it was a sample that nobody could recognize. Because people get away with lazy sampling all the time because they pick samples that nobody like really even uses, or like they sample a part that nobody really recognizes, things like that. So I think that's part of it, even though I do agree that some sampling is lazy, but I feel like the root of it is just, if the song wasn't popular, you wouldn't feel the same, even though I agree that some sampling is lazy. But also sometimes just picking the right loop, like picking the right part of the song, is just half the battle. Like, I know, like, for instance, Alchemist, like, I love him to death, but sometimes he gets away with being like sampling lazy, but it doesn't really matter because he picks really great samples and like he picks like a really good starting and stopping point. So that's kind of like how I feel about it. I kind of feel like people are kind of turning to old heads kind of with the whole thing. It's just kind of annoying. But I do feel like the criticism isn't disingenuous.
I think lazy sampling is a justifiable criticism in this day and age of music, just because like it's a lot of fast food type of things. But I do agree with what you were saying. I do think a part of it is people are being able to recognize the sample that is being done. I think that just adds to the fact that, people are like, oh, this is basically just a carbon copy of this. And understandably so, but also, I mean, sometimes, like Mural, for example, by Lupe Fiasco. It's an amazing 8-minute song that he went crazy on. And but like, I found the sample for it very recently, and it's like a French jazz album from 1971 or something. And the beat is like a carbon copy of the beat that Lupe is rapping on. Like, it's not a lot of things that were actually changed within by the sample, but because it's not something that people typically know about, it's not something that people usually care about. So one, I think, is that. Two, I really think some people just don't know what part of a song people are using, or like what songs people are using. One, I think we're getting at that age. And also it's really easy to just kind of hang on to negative stuff. Like, we get to, we listen to 10 songs and 4 of them have a sample that we recognize, and we feel like it's a sample epidemic, even though those other 6 songs didn't have a prominent sample in it, or like what we would consider a lazy sample in it. But it's just so easy to hang on of the negative stuff that you hear and be like, oh, this is all over the place now. That's just kind of the way media is.
It's just like a ton of highlighting the bad and like none of highlighting the good, which it just kind of gets irritating at one point. Like, everybody talk about like hip hop dead, all the other stuff, and like nobody can just like a genre to me, I always say for a genre to be bad, it'd have to be like a massive amount of bad stuff. And I really think it's more so mainstream focus. But perception is reality, and I get why people are saying that, even though I don't agree. So next thing, Future. I have been putting this off for so long, but I'm finally getting around to it. Despite how kind of like some of his like fans have gotten over the past couple years and things like that, I think Future is like, there's very few people, honestly, in history who have been able to, like, in terms of rap, who have been able to expand on their core sound so much over and over and over and over, and recreate something great every single time for the most part. Like, I think Future has been in my album of the year contention almost every year. He's dropped something, or project of the year contention. Like, every single year he's dropped something. Like, for instance, with The Wizard, I love that album to death. And like, I've even gone as far as to say that on a good day it's better than Dirty Sprite 2. And on good day it's Future's best project. Because of it's just like he keeps like it's not like each project he like necessarily like reinvents himself, but it's kind of like he adds like a new element that we don't usually see each project, and I love that from him. And one of the things, like, I feel like one of the reasons why Future is so great is that we kind of forget that he is like a Dungeon family product. Like, that's before Future like really took off. Like, he was rapping a lot like Andre 3000, everything like that. So I feel like a lot of that inspiration is there from the Dungeon family on how he kind of reinvents himself. And like, if you ask somebody like what their favorite Future song is and everything like that, you'll get 1,000 different answers, but in a good way. Yeah, I just feel like, despite the recent stretch of music from him, which I'm not the biggest fan of, I feel like when it's all said and done, of course, there's no doubt like that Future is an all-time great. But also, not to mention, like, we have never seen somebody being able to expand on their core sound so much over and over and over, and be great at it so consistently.
I can agree with that. I've never been like the biggest fan of Future, but I will say he's definitely one of the first. In my personal music journey, he was definitely one of the first rappers I think that got me out of my real rap phase, because that shit was just very good. Like 56 Nights was a defining mixtape of the blog era and my young adult life. Like, that shit was just fucking phenomenal. He had one of the craziest rap stretches I have ever seen out of any artist. But really, like, his longevity and his core sound is undeniable. Like, he's really is a legend, and he's able to do a lot of different things. And it's very easy to listen to Future and listen to a project and look at it as, oh, this is all the same stuff. But like, you really listen to it, and he's a very versatile individual. Like, he's really a legend in his field. He's a rap legend. He's like you were saying, he's undeniable, and he expands on his core sound very often. And like I was saying earlier, although I'm not the biggest fan of him just personally, he's an undeniable artist, and he's a very easy person to respect. Like, the artistry is just there. You can tell he cares a lot about his craft, and it's really good, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, man. Like, with Future, like, I I didn't really start doing a deep dive of Future's catalog until like I graduated high school and listened to DS2 for the first time. Like that summer of 2015, like when niggas talk about 2016, that's what 2015 was for me. Like you really had to be there for DS2 drop and then what a time to be alive, even though I'm not necessarily super fond of that project. But you had to be there. Yeah, like when it comes to mixtapes, albums, like to me, he was solidified. Honestly, he's only been building his legacy even more after 2015. He was solidified to me in 2015 when he dropped Dirty Sprite 2 after that insane mixtape run. But that's all I got on Future. What about you?
That was really all I needed to say. Like we were both saying, I mean, he a legend. That's really all that matters. Not even just an Atlanta legend or a Southern rap legend. Like he is a rap legend as a whole.
All right. Next topic. Let me see. What did I have now? Give me a second. I put
Was it
something.
Mr. All Caps?
It was one of them, but I don't know if I want to do that one first. But I had two. I think I had two more or one more left. Give me a sec. I think I had two more left. Give me a sec. All right. Oh yeah. Favorite rap subgenres. Quickly. I guess I can't really name it, but the whole navy blue Mike Earl sweatshirt, Maxo Mavi lane of music, I guess. I enjoy NY drill in spurts. It just really artist dependent to me. The West Coast, of course, Detroit, 100%. Like Detroit, Michigan rap, love that. Florida has been having some like really good rappers that have interested on me, like with Lil Tyler and Lil Shimmy. The West Coast when like SOB, RBE, and all them was popping. Like I used to love them niggas. Like I was an SOB RBE fan for a very long time, and I honestly discovered them through Kendrick on the Black Panther album. I didn't know about them till then, and then after that, I was a fan. What about you?
I would say jazz rap, like Tribe Called Quest, and like Gangstar and them. I really don't really like calling it conscious hip hop. I don't know. I feel like people think anything that's like mildly like
Political.
Yeah, is conscious, I guess, but like that is a very like Kendrick and Mos Def, whatever Detroit. I don't know what to call what Detroit music is. I want to call it scam rap, but I feel like that's not giving it the proper terminology. But that shit is super good.
I don't think it's well. I feel like when you say scam rap, I think you can talk about like you know, like Casher Quan, Babytron, who else? I don't know what happened. TJ X6 or whatever, like that nigga like disappeared. I don't know what happened.
That man was making music videos about how to scam Walmart. I don't know how he got away with it for so long. If he's not locked up at the moment, I'm not sure how he's gotten away with things for so long. But I digress. But whatever Babytron, if he's considered scam rap, then definitely. And then whatever like Rio and them are, like Rio, Y&J, God dang it.
I say funny street nigga rap sometimes.
Crispy Life, like that type of stuff. I feel like would be
I ain't gonna use say funny street nigga rap, but like street nigga rap, but like hilarious punchlines here and there, and like them just rap out their lives over some of the best. Like when niggas talk about like sampling, not being lazy, everything like that, Detroit is a really good example. Like even though they sample some popular songs, like they are really good at flipping it to where it's not a complete rip off of something.
Michigan producers are very underrated. Like them niggas will sample a commercial from the '90s and it will sound really good. Um, I don't. It's really hard. I mean, they're not an area that I think is going to get credit on the production side because I feel like a lot of producers that make like um, non-conscious esque stuff don't really get like credit the same way that people like Alchemist and them do, or like Dre or whatever other people consider top producers. But Michigan producers are very good.
Hell of hell of a being one of them. Like he does a ton of stuff with like Payroll Giovanna, Bunny, All Star Jr. All Star Jr. That's like not even my favorite rapper out of the region. He's my favorite rapper, like one of my favorite rappers. Period. Um, Babytron, Damn John Boy, Peasy. I think so. He does some stuff with Peasy too. Uh, V's has been like, if it's one album I'm excited for, it's V's. Like he has been like consistently getting my attention with all the singles he's been dropping and where he markets himself and all that stuff. I'm really excited for his album. Uh, but yeah, I would definitely say like Michigan rap as a whole is one of my favorite rap subgenres.
Yeah, that's the only other genre that I might add to that is like I would guess what I would consider alternative, like how Danny Brown and Z Loopers are, and sometimes JPEG Mafia. But that is, I think that alternative sound and the stuff that you listen to that'll make you be like, what the hell am I? What the hell is going on right now?
What the hell am I
Is
about to get into?
yeah, it's definitely a very good uh segue from other stuff sometimes.
I agree. Like I love how like people don't give like rap like the diversity it like deserves. And I feel like people only think two lanes of rap exist, and it's quote unquote the label of conscious rap and then the label of non-conscious rap. When in reality, like all rap is like, to me, all rap is political in a sense. Cause even though the way they deliver it may be different, there's always some form of social commentary in there. Like that doesn't, just because the whole album is about like a certain topic or something like that, doesn't mean like these rappers don't like comment on like the state of the world and other things of that nature. So I feel like too often people try to compartment. I feel like subgenres is cool and it's good to do, but at the same time, I don't like when people kind of just like boil it down only to, hey, this rap is, it's either you're a conscious rapper or you're not, versus like it's much more diverse and like complex in that. Um, so next topic, MFDOOM. It's been a while. Like I still remember the day like he kind of like we got the news that he passed, and like I was never really like the biggest Doom fan growing up. Um, but I've always like respected how he did things and the mystique and like how he his rhyme scheme and everything like that, and his inspiration to underground rappers as a whole. Um, and just how like the art of like mystique is a lost art. And like when I say that, I mean like people don't do it right. Or like people just don't like I feel like in the age of being easily accessible, as a artist or like just people in general, like Mystique has kind of like lost its value. Well, I ain't say it's lost its value. It's just not enough people do it, or like not enough people buy into it. Like, and then like even then, people always say like, "Oh, he just being mysterious because he's not active on social media and everything like that." I'm just like, maybe it's a real world outside. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like, why you gotta? I mean, like, there's no reason why this person has to be consistently in the public eye. And like I feel like that's what, and I feel like fans missing their favorite artists really helps with the next listening experience too. Like I don't want personally, I don't want an artist that like is consistently dropping like every 2 to 3 months. I would much rather have somebody like kind of give me a break in a sense, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think as far as with the mystique goes, I think one, it's kind of hard because of the way the internet is. Like everyone is so available. I think for him, with the goal that he was going for, with trying to be mysterious, like he was purposely trying to be mysterious. He came up around the perfect time. Like even with him doing shows, and it will be somebody else instead of him is like a really crazy thing. And it sounds like an urban legend because someone could not get away with that now. Or it would be a lot harder for someone of his caliber to get away with it now. When the fact that he was around for so long and was able to thrive for so long, and at the end of it all was able to, pass away around his friends and family. And then we get the news and we found out he passed away like weeks or months prior, and no one really knew. And like that just epitomized what type of person he was and what he was going for. He's arguably, the most influential underground rapper and the greatest underground rapper of all time. I really feel like he epitomized what it meant to be an underground rapper. He's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Like one of my favorite videos of a artist is Most Def rapping to one of his songs, and he was just like breaking down every bar and was so amazed at what he was saying, because that's just one of the greatest rappers ever being able to appreciate this other rapper. I thought that was really dope.
I feel like people don't. I really feel like people don't like understand that other rappers study like other rappers, and like the greats study the greats, or like the future greats study the greats. Like I don't. People don't just wake up and just be like, okay, I'm gonna start rapping, and be like, people don't. I do believe like people have natural gifts or like natural gravitations toward things, but also at the same time, I kind of like these rappers don't really. A lot of people worked at what they did. Like it's not like, for example, like basketball players. Like I'm gonna use this. Everybody knows I don't like making basketball analogies like that, but I'll use this. A basketball player may wake up and they may be tall and they may have like height advantages and strength advantages that a lot of people don't other have, but at the end of the day, you still have to like work at your craft. Like you don't make it to the league by just like being like, you have to work at it. Like you don't make it to the league by just being tall or just being athletic and things like that. You have to like work at what you do. So I feel like kind of people kind of do that with rap. Like people don't understand like these people like work on these things, like the stuff that we think isn't a big deal, like the attention detail, like for instance, like breath control, tone, all that other shit. Like rappers take that shit seriously. Like they like the attention detail is like a real thing. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things I can say about Doom. On top of being like incredible underground rapper, he has like probably one of the best collaborative albums with Madlib ever. And like I feel like we see like in terms of like the art of Mystique and like the artists we have today, and I feel like that influence, a lot of that you can trace back to Doom. Like just kind of the way people drop stuff, all the other stuff, a lot of people can trace that back to Doom.
He's really him, all caps when you spell the man's name.
He has like, and also that nigga has quotables. Like, I feel like we people, I feel like we underrate. I feel like the idea of quotables is like has shifted so much, and like a quotable can be like anything to an extent. It doesn't have to be something that's just like captionable, but also like there's tons of quotables from all time greats, not just like the tip top ones that we know of. Like, and like I do feel like quotables are a sign of greatness. Like if I can quote you on any given day, I feel like that's a part of being a great. Not a big part, but a part of it.
It definitely helps because I think a lot of times people feel like quotables are just like metaphors and bars, like Wayne, and that's not to discount Wayne because, of course, Wayne is who he is. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people feel like it's going to be just, and that's what I think this is kind of a sidebar, but I think quotables is what's allowed Drake to stay the person that he is and on top for so long, because no matter how you feel about what he's rapping about, he's able to say something that you're going to more than likely be quoting all day.
Like 21, can you do something for me?
Yes, just as simple as that. As whether it's corny or not, it's going to be something that you like, damn, this is stuck in my head.
And I feel like being not even quotable, but like having a catchy cadence is like a big thing that goes on the radar. Like I feel like the perfect example is Project Pat. Like so many of his songs have a really, really, really good catchiness to them on top of quotables mixed in there. And that's what makes them so great. Like with Mr. Don't Play and all this other and like Getty Green and everything like that. Like I feel like he's a god at that. Like, and I feel like that's a big part of being a rapper. And like, you know how like, for instance, like the Money Trees hook, like Money Trees, like that's a perfect song. Like that's a quotable ass song. It's probably one of Kendrick. It's probably the most notable Kendrick hook or song to me. But that's it on Doom. The last topic we had in mind was I believe it was concept albums, but let me search. I believe it was. Yes, concept albums. What is the most recent best concept album that we've gotten? I want to say is Care for Me in terms of hip hop, but I could be tripping. What you think?
I'm glad you said Care for Me because honestly, I was gonna say Damn, but yeah, that's probably the most recent one that I can think of that I really liked. I gotta go look through my music though. If I had to pick like a favorite concept album, I feel like it'd be either Damn or Good Kid, Mad City. Or yeah, I'd have to say it'd be either one of those, just because of the
Look,
impact that it had at the time.
the thing about Kendrick, bro, is like his all-time greatness. That's one of the big things I can say about his all-time greatness is that being able to execute a concept album like every single time and have it like arguably in like contention talks every single time is a feat in itself. And I feel like that's part of the mainstream is like, I think we severely underrate how hard it is to pull off a good concept album. Like really underrated. Like it's just like for instance, my biggest example is Little Brother with the Minstrel Show. And the reason why I said that is because they were able to get off a parody album and not make it corny or edgy or anything like that, but still keep their rapping intact and still keep like all their skills intact and everything like that. And I feel like that's why I feel like Little Brother is like goated. I feel like if their legacy is even a little bit more, even a little bit bigger than what we already think of it, because to execute a parody album and at that high level, I feel like it deserves more than the credit it gets, even though it does get a lot of credit.
Little Brother will always be kind of overrated in the grand scheme just because of who they, where they're from, who they influenced. They were never like top of the top, but the fact that they were able to influence Drake or even especially Fonte, and now Drake has been able to have the career he's had as the rapping singing nigga. That Little Brother excelled at, and especially Fonte excelled at, is really cool to see. Grant?
One second.
Huh?
I said 1 second.
Oh shit.
But yeah, like when people talk about like Little Brother, like people don't talk about like how the big three stars of the blog era are like extremely influenced by them. And like when people talk about Drake, like Drake being influenced mainly by Wayne, or like Cole being influenced by Jay-Z or Nas and everything like that, and Kendrick being influenced by Wayne and Tupac, like I feel like every single one of them has mentioned that Little Brother has had a huge impact in their musical growth and everything like that, especially when it comes to harmonizing all that stuff.
You gotta give people their flowers while they can. So as long as they do it, then everybody else will fall in line eventually.
Yeah, I agree. But that is it for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next week with another episode, new topics, and all that jazz. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Y'all be easy.